Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Now we are finally going to do a tube radio again because it's been a long time since I've done a tube radio on the channel, and last time I tried one it turned into a bit of a disaster. So I think I owe you guys doing a tube radio again. And not just any tube radio, I've got here a Telefunken Jubilate, which is personally one of my favorite tube radios ever. And I think I'm not alone in saying that. These radios, they are still very popular, quite sought after, even though they are not that difficult to find. Basically, they are a bit like the smaller brother of the Gavot. I think the Gavot is still a bit more popular and a bit more sought after than the Jubilate, but for me personally, I like this one a bit better. It's smaller, more compact, and it looks just as great as the Gavot. Now, I've been looking for one for quite a while. Well, actually, I've been looking for one, either Jubilate or a Gavot, in really nice condition for quite a while. Because as I said, they are not that difficult to find. They are difficult to find in this condition. Because look at this. I found this one on a radio fair last year. And it's cosmetically in almost perfect condition. The wood and the lacquer is spotless. There is really nothing. Well, you have some really small chips here and there, but that's really nothing. The back panel is like new. The condition is exceptional for a radio of this age. So as you see, it's a Jubilate 8. The 8 is the model year, so in this case that means 1958. So this radio was made in 1957 or 1958. But why did I want one in such a great condition as this one, if you're gonna restore it anyway? And that's because of this gradient here in the varnish or in the lacquer. I'm not a woodworker. I do woodworking as a sort of side effect of doing radio restorations. So I'm definitely not an expert at restoring wood or furniture or anything like that. I also don't like it that much. I do it because it's a necessity. And then knowing that I'm not an expert, having to restore a gradient like this, well, I guess I could have done it, but I know my limitations and I know what I like and what I don't like, and I think this would have been quite a hassle for me. So when I saw this radio in nearly perfect original condition on this radio fair that I visited, I knew I had to pick it up. See, it is complete as well. Everything is intact, the glass, the buttons, the label. There is only a bit of paint chipped here off of the label. But for the rest, I think everything seems to be there. The grill cloth as well. So behind this plastic grill, there is the cloth, and there is a small mark of the speaker over here, but it's barely noticeable. See, like this, you can see the ring of the speaker a bit, but it's barely noticeable. So the grill cloth is also exceptionally clean. Yeah, it's really remarkable to find a radio in this original condition. So this is our starting point. So from a cosmetic point of view, we're not going to have a lot of work. It will be a matter of cleaning up a bit and lightly polishing. You know, the veneer has cracked like everywhere, but that's normal at this age for a radio like this. Now, as I said, most people will probably like the Gavot more. I do have a Gavot in my stock. Maybe it's a good idea to fetch it and then put them next to each other, and then you can more or less see the size difference. One moment. Okay, so here we have my Gavot. As you see, it's not in great condition. Understatement. The dial glass is cracked. The trim is hanging loose. It's missing some trim pieces. It's extremely dirty. The wood has chips, there is paint here. On the back panel is missing. On the back there is the wood on the back part of the radio has well, a big dent, so I think it has been dropped at some point. So I'm just keeping this for spare parts. This is not restorable, well, not without buying a new dial glass and all these things. So I'm keeping this for spare parts. But you can see clearly now the size difference between the Jubilate and the Gavot. So yeah, since the Gavot is more popular, maybe you have a Gavot or you all have already seen a Gavot in real life. You see the Jubilate is quite a bit smaller. The main differences are that the Gavot has 3 speakers, so you have speakers on the sides. See here as well. The Jubilate does not have that. Now this Gavot, I think it's 1 year younger than the Jubilate, because see, it has the EM84. This one still has an EM80, which I think is a plus, because that's my favorite Magic Eye. There's nothing wrong with an EM84, but I really like the EM80. So this Gavot is going to go back into the storage for parts. Maybe we'll need some parts for that one, but now you can clearly see the difference in size. Now the Jubilate was not the smallest radio in the lineup of Telefunken. It was, there is still one model smaller, that was the Caprice. Now I found here online the product catalog from Telefunken from 1957, 1958, so we can quickly have a look at that and then you'll know a bit better how this product was positioned in their lineup. See, so this is the catalog. On the first page we see the Caprice 8, so that was the smallest model that they had in their lineup. On the second page we have the Jubilate 8 and the Gavot 8. So you see, these are in this catalog nicely sorted from small to big. Now this is the year where Telefunken for the Gavot switched from 2 separate dial controls for treble and bass to just some preset buttons, and lots of people didn't like that. I think they also sized down the Gavot slightly compared to the earlier models, making the speaker a bit smaller. Also a bit of a degrade in quality. I mean, so as the Gavot 8, maybe not the most desirable, but the Jubilate 8, it's a very basic radio, 1 speaker. It has a tone control on a pot, and then it has just 1 speaker. We'll come back to the features, but they are, in terms of electronics, I think these are both quite similar. The biggest difference, of course, is the amount of speakers. The Gavot has 3, like I said, the Jubilate only 1. See, so the Jubilate cost 229 Deutsche Mark, the Gavot 279 Deutsche Mark. If we then go further down the product line, next one is the Operette. I restored an Operette earlier on the channel. I think it was an Operette 7, not an 8. But still very similar radio to this one. And then when we go larger and larger, we have next the Andante 8, then the Concertino 8, the Concerto 8, and the Opus as the last one. As of the next models, we are getting into the combined models where we have radio and record player combined. So here, this one, the Phono Super, it has a built-in record changer. So the Opus was the top of the line model, and afterwards here we already have a very early transistor radio, and then we go into the furniture, basically the furniture catalog, and then the televisions. So they had, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 normal radio models in their lineup, and this one was number 2. So the controls are what you expect from a radio. They are very simple. No bells and whistles. So on the left we have, I guess this is volume and this is tone. And then here on the right we have the tuning. This one, I think it's 2 separate tunings dials, one for AM and one for FM. I don't know which one is which, and the front one is really stuck. So I'm not going to force anything. We're going to have a look when the radio has been opened up. Here we have the off switch, the long wave, medium wave, FM, no shortwave. That's also something that was added in the higher end models. And this is the speech switch. And normally you should be able to press it again to unlatch, but that doesn't work. I guess it's stuck now. So these switches need cleaning, both on the outside and on the inside. And then if you, it pops up like this as well. I don't know. I do think there is something wrong with that switch. And pushing down these two at the same time is the pickup input. On the back, same thing. We have the usual suspects, nothing fancy. We have our antenna connections for an AM antenna, for an FM dipole. We have the pickup input and a connection for an external speaker. Right, so I think it's time to open it up, have a look inside and see if it is as pristine on the inside as it is on the outside. Now, opening these old German radios is extremely simple. You just loosen these two screws. Well, this is just an FM antenna. I'm going to take that out. And then we can take off the back. Holy wow, that's a lot of dust. Oh my god. Well, yeah, that dust is really something else. Wow. See, it is really has been piling up here on top of the tubes and the IF cans. And yeah, there is really a millimeter of dust, 2 millimeters of dust everywhere. It's remarkable. So, well, the good thing about this is that it's gonna be very satisfying to clean this up, because we're definitely going to see a difference when we start cleaning here. But on first sight, I don't see any major issues. I think everything is there, which should be there. All the tubes are there. I don't see any big problems. See, so that's what we are dealing with here. We literally have a carpet of dust laying here on top of everything. That's, yeah, okay. So first thing I'm gonna do is carefully use the vacuum cleaner to, well, suck up a bit of the worst dust here on top of the chassis. Carefully, because, well, you don't want to hit these fine wires of the antenna coils. So, and when I've done with that, then I can take the chassis out. There will still be a lot of dust inside, but at least we will have already eliminated a bit. So yeah. Okay, so the chassis is loose, finally. That took me a long time because you can take out the 4 screws here in the bottom, these ones, but that doesn't help a lot because the chassis is resting on 4 grommets. And these rubber grommets, they stick to the chassis, so the chassis just remains stuck in there. So you have to pry it up with the screwdriver. But the problem is there are also 2 grommets on the front. And yeah, the case is really cramped here, so it's difficult to reach. And I didn't want to, I was being very careful because I didn't want to damage the glass. So I just went underneath with a very long screwdriver and as carefully as I could, I pried upwards, and that finally loosened the chassis. So I think I should be able to lift it out. And then there are still a couple more surprises that we'll probably encounter. I just need to be really careful here. I also did a bit of dusting, but I couldn't reach everything, obviously. Okay, careful. Right, so these cables are clearly long enough. They really designed it like that, probably. And this is this cable is the shortest. So that's the magic eye, and that's the cable to the output transformer, because the output transformer is still is mounted here in the cabinet against the speaker, what do you call it, plate. And that's simply because there isn't enough space here. So as you see, it's really quite cramped inside this radio. And that's because we have here the full, what I call German tube layout. So we have the ECC 85, ECH 81, EF 89, EABC 80, the EL 84, and then the EM 80 is the magic eye. So that means we have the full tube lineup, and still the radio is rather small. Usually with radios of this size, you have at least one or two compromises. For example, they might not have a power transformer. This one has a power transformer, so they might be a hot chassis set. They might not have FM, they might not have a magic eye, but this guy has all the things that you expect. So that means, well, it's fully packed, so there was no room left anymore over here to put the output transformer, so they put that one on the speaker board. So I have to go now and figure out how to clean this up a bit further and how to disassemble, and yeah, either I'm going to have to remove it from here or I need to take the entire speaker board out. I don't know. And yeah, as you see, still done more than enough dust to clean up. Yeah, this is going to be a nice job to have to clean all of this. And see, they mounted the antenna coils here on top on this mounting plate. So the let me zoom out a bit. Yeah, see, so the switching mechanism is upright, and the coils, they are mounted here on top of this board, which is also unusual, but I guess it's because they didn't have any room otherwise to put the transformers, the IF cans. So the switching mechanism is vertical. See, and there we have the speaker board. Here is the output transformer, and there is the magic eye. And there, this hole, that's where the ferrite antenna fits in. See, so the top of the ferrite antenna fits in that hole. That's also funny. Well, okay, that's a bit more difficult than expected. As you see from this battlefield here, taking this thing apart is not as easy as it might look. So what I did is I first removed the magic eye, and then I noticed, well, how am I going to get this speaker panel out? So there are two screws on the top. So that's these guys. And then I removed them, and then I noticed that they are only there to hold the front grille or whatever it is, this bezel, in place. And then maybe I thought, okay, maybe I need to take that off. So then I took off both bottom screws as well, holding that bezel in place. So those are actually more bolts, not screws. So they are, the screw is sticking through the bottom of the chassis, through these holes over here. And then on the top, you have here a washer. And then in these slots, you have these receiving plates sitting like this. And the bolt just, screws in those plates. So taking those out was quite awkward, but well, I managed to do that, but then still it wouldn't come off. Then I noticed that you had to remove this piece first. That's keeping the trim in place, but that's like sticking through the cabinet, and then it's folded over, so you need to remove that one as well. Then this whole thing came off, and then still I couldn't find any way to get this speaker panel out. So I think it is just glued in place, or maybe it's nailed or hammered, I don't know. So I think I'm gonna take out the speaker and try to get out the output transformer as well. I think that's the best way to do it, because I need to take everything apart to clean decently, because see, over here it's a complete carpet of dust. Yeah. Well, I finally managed to get the chassis out of the cabinet, and that wasn't as easy as it usually is. Mainly because of the output transformer that was mounted on the speaker board. And I just cut off the speaker here to make it a bit easier. And now, well, there is a lot of things still to do. A lot of cleaning because it's still super dirty inside. And there is another surprise. It's a PCB. Look at that. 1957. That's remarkable. I think that's gonna be the oldest PCB I've ever worked on. I'm not sure, I think it's gonna be the oldest. So next step is carefully take the knobs off and then take the dial glass off and put that somewhere safe. So here on the left we have the volume control and the tone control. Those came off very easily. And here indeed we have both the tuning for the AM and the FM. This is the AM and this is the FM. They are both working, but the AM is incredibly stiff and the FM, there is something wrong with that. I'll show you when the dial glass is removed. I just need to find the screw here. Where is it? Ah, there it is. Okay, and this one. Okay, those can also be cleaned. We have two felt pads that can be removed. And then the dial glass itself. That should just come off now. Yeah, there it is. Now it should just lift up and it's stuck. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And see, it is in perfect condition. So I'm just gonna put this here for a moment and I'll show you here what's wrong. I think you can already see it, right? So this wire here, it's not the dial cord that is broken. It's this piece of fishing wire that is used to hold the pointer in place. Well, the pointer catches in this wire and it rides along. See that piece of wire is broken. It needs to, on this side, it's still okay. It needs to latch in that well, piece of metal. And here it's, well, yeah, it's broken, I think. Or it just, no, I think it's, yeah, see, so both sides, they are clipped together and this brass, well, piece of metal that is used to clip them together has broken. So that needs to be fixed. And for the rest, the FM tuning seems to work. The AM is incredibly stiff, so we'll have to find something to fix that. But I'm just going to, first of all, put the dial glass aside in a safe place and put the chassis in my contraption so I can work on it a bit easier. Okay, so the chassis is in my contraption. My contraption does look a bit too big for this chassis, but that's because the chassis is so small and I use this for all sizes of radio. But it fits and now I can work on everything easily on all sides. I mounted the output transformer here with some tie wraps and the Magic Eye here as well with a tie wrap. So I think we are good. Now I also took the liberty to take out all the tubes and there is something I need to show you. Right. See? They are all Telefunken. How cool is that? Ha! No, I don't think that's a coincidence. I think the chance is very high that these are all the original tubes that came with this radio from the factory. So that's really neat. Now, if they are good, still, I don't know. We'll test them soon, so we'll see. But I suspect that we will need to replace a couple. But in any case, it's really nice to have the original set of tubes. Okay, so before I do anything on a tube radio, I always test both transformers. So first the output transformer. The secondary is easy, just the speaker terminals, or well, the wires that go to the speaker. That's this one and this one. 0.9 ohms, that I think that's fine. At least there's continuity and it's normal, but the secondary has a very low resistance. And then the primary, I have 3 wires here. I guess they are all part of the primary. Yeah, see, so on the schematic they show here indeed the primary has, as usual, a tap. So you have here connections 1, 2 and 3. And here they even have a drawing of the output transformer. And see, 1 is white, 2 is yellow and 3 is green. So yeah, I was measuring the correct one. So this is, for example, between white and green, and that's 560. And this is between white and yellow, and that's 546. And this is between green and yellow, 16. So the short tap is between 0.2 and 3. And yeah, indeed, here we also see that the short part of the winding is between 0.2 and 3. So I think that's fine. I think the output transformer is okay. Now the power transformer. Let's first test the fuse. Yep, the fuse is still good. That's reassuring. Let's see if we have continuity between one of the pins of the power plug and the fuse. Because it could be that this socket is going to be tarnished. Oh, no. Well, yeah, it's on the socket, but not on the fuse itself. So I guess first thing we'll need to do is clean that fuse holder. Oof, there's a lot of the oxidation and dust and dirt coming off. So yeah, that is definitely needed. These are just completely black. Well, contact cleaner clearly is enough to get this crud removed. I'm now using metal polish. That's working better, I think. See, it's clearing up much better. The oxidation on these contacts is, well, so big that the contact cleaner just is not strong enough. So we're using metal polish. Aha. Yeah, 1.1, 1 ohm, 0.9, I think that's fine. Okay, so on the schematic here we're seeing that one side of the power plug goes to the fuse and then to pin 1 of the transformer, and the other side goes through the on-off switch to pin 5 of the power transformer. And here is the power transformer. Pin 5 is, so pin 1 is white and pin 5 is yellow, I think. I think that's GE, so that's yellow. So let's see if we are correct. Let's turn on the radio. Well, let's push just one button so that the power switch is closed, and then one side of the power plug, I think it was this side. Yeah, indeed, goes to that side of the switch, of the fuse. Well, it also now, hey, what? Ah, that's better. Still not going to this side. What is happening? Wait. No, it's making contact. All right. Okay. So then what did we say? That should be the white wire. Where is the white wire? Oh boy. They are all black from dust and not really accessible. Okay, change of plans. I'm just gonna do my usual approach, and I am putting a voltage of 2.2 volts, 50 hertz on the power plug. So that's 1% of the mains voltage because we have 220 volts. Well, the radio is set for 220 volts. So that's 1% of the mains voltage. So let me show you. So we should measure 2.2 here. Wait. Yep, there we go, 2.2. Then we should measure also 1% of the filament voltage. So I'm just gonna take the filament voltage here on one of the sockets. So that's pin 4 and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's 75 millivolts. So that corresponds to 7.5 volts, which is, well, since it's unloaded, I guess it's correct. See, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's nothing here. 5? Ah, it's hooked up to the other pin. Yeah, indeed. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. I think that's fine. Now let's try to find the B plus, or yeah, 1% of the B plus. See, that's we just measured here this secondary winding, pin 7 and 8, which is the filament winding, and then now we're going to measure the 9 and 10. So that's simply going to the bridge rectifier. So yeah, we can easily measure that. See, so this long tall black guy here, that's the bridge rectifier. And let's see, I don't know what is the input and what is the output here, but let's just wing it and take these two ones, for example. I don't think that's it. Let's take the other two. Yeah, there it is. 2.3 volts AC. Yeah, so that's corresponds to 230 volts AC for B+. So I think that's okay. Do we see something out of the bridge rectifier? I don't think so. At this low voltage, we're not gonna see anything. Yeah, we do. We have 1.3 volt rectified voltage. See? So honestly, I think both transformers are fine and we can continue our project. So this is where I'm going to leave you for now. I think this was a nice introduction for this upcoming project. Originally the plan was to quickly change out the DC blocking cap for the output tube and then fire up the radio and see if it has any signs of life. But I'm not gonna do that because there is just way too much dust in here and I can't even tell the capacitors from the resistors apart. So I really need to do a lot of cleaning first before I continue working on this radio. So that's what I'm gonna do in between videos. I'm gonna thoroughly clean the chassis. I'm also going to test the tubes and see if we need to replace some tubes. Maybe I'll already start swapping some capacitors, but I'll probably leave that for the next video. So hopefully we can get some life out of this nice radio in the next video. In any case, I'm really looking forward to working on this thing. It's a very, very nice radio. I really want to get this one working very well because, well, I love it. It's one of my favorite tube radios. Now seeing it as a PCB, which also makes it a bit more interesting. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. So if you also look forward to the next video about this radio, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I usually don't say this a lot. I try to avoid asking for likes and subscriptions, but from time to time I do it anyway because I know it helps the channel, especially if you like the video. Also, if you don't like the video, give it thumbs down. I mean, whatever you please. And as I said, if you want to follow along with this restoration, don't forget to subscribe, and then I'll see you in the next one. So take care. Bye bye.